And then I need to record this. Hopefully everyone is good. I guess we can get started. If someone joins in, we'll join it later. Awesome. I'm slow in technology. You can tell. I'm like, let's do this one by one. Awesome. So we're so pleased to have all of you here on our risk analysis of transportations of raw materials throughout the supply chains. We're so pleased to have Hans today with us to share a little bit about the risk analysis of transporting the raw materials. This is a very important topic that I hope that when I get started in the food industry that I have a little bit more introduction to this, but I guess today we are in a good hands because Hans is here to explain a little bit on how to do it and so on and so forth. A little bit about myself. My name is Felicia. I am a food safety consultant. What I usually do is I specialize in assisting food safety food business with their food safety compliance. So I'm a certified SQF consultant and certified food scientist. Work a lot with different types of programs, and definitely if that's something that we are in alignment, definitely we'll be happy to share a little bit more in our other presentations with you. Awesome. So the agenda today would be mostly looking at the agenda for the introductions to food safety hazards. So it's very important to know the hazard before we even go to our supply chain flow. And then Hans will share a little bit on the risk analysis for transporting the materials throughout the supply chain. This is a great map because I can see you have flight comings in, you have ships going on, you have a lot of local transportations in terms of moving the products around and making sure that the products that we have actually comes into our local grocery stores, get to our warehouse, get to our food manufacturing facility, that they can make the food and produce it and send it back to us. A little bit of introductions to the food safety hazards. So there are three different food safety hazards. This is basic food safety hazards. We have biological, chemical, and physical. They can all exist. So with biological, it's something that you cannot really see with your naked eyes apart from yeast and mold. Those are the bigger one that you can see with your naked eyes. The rest of it, bacteria, viruses, parasites, pathogens, you're not able to see. Right? There are many ways that we control our biological hazards. I'll share a little bit later. Chemicals, in terms of chemicals, you would sometimes have pesticide, processing chemical, rock residues, allergens. Most likely it occurs when we talk about transportations, it could occur through cross-contaminations when we ship items together or ship items that are not properly cleaned in a vessel together. In terms of physicals, you have bugs, glass, plastics, metals, and hairs. So those are the physical things that you can see. Bugs can enter if you don't have a good pest control program. Glass breakage, plastic breakage, metal breakage, depends on the conditions of your storage items as well. In terms of biologicals, so one of the things that we often forget is in terms of supply chain, parasite control is actually through freezing. So if you're freezing the items and they are not properly at the right temperature when you're transporting the materials, it doesn't kill the parasite and it allows it to grow further, right? And that's a little bit of introductions of the food safety hazards here. But what we want to do is we want to know where our food safety hazards can be introduced. Obviously, receiving shared a little bit just now. When you receive the items, if you receive the wrong items that are already contaminated, storage. So throughout the storage, if you have the storage and the storage conditions are not appropriate for food materials, that can help the bacteria to grow or the food items, the chemicals, materials to cross-contaminate. There are also the processes, which we are very, very familiar with. And also after we have the process, another storage and another shipment, right? Now, we are very good. We're pretty good when it comes to processes. Everyone kind of have HACCP. So HACCP programs really help with the managing the food safety hazards at the processes area at your facility. What I want to do today is really talk a little bit about what happened outside of our facility, things that we don't see and should be seeing, right? And that's when Hans comes in place, right? So I'm so happy to introduce Hans here. He is the president for UNFIT, International Associations for Supply Chain Safety. So we work a lot with supply chain safety and are very knowledgeable about the food safety supply chain, looking at not just the food safety part, also to meet other regulatory, other certifications requirements such as kosher, halal, that comes into place hand in hand when it comes to supply chain management, right? Those are important things that we usually wanted to make sure our food is properly halal. They're not cross-contaminated or not contaminated. They are properly organic. Nothing non-organic that comes into our food that make our food non-organic, for example. Well, Hans, it's very great to have you today. I'll let you share your screen. I'll just unshare my screen, all right?
Okay, yes, thank you. Is it to see?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Felicia, for this nice introduction and to organize this meeting. Yes, at first I will introduce myself. My name is Hans-Dieter Filipowski. I'm a German. I'm from the nice city Hamburg. Maybe some of you know that. And I'm the founder of the association, non-profit association, UNFIT. And I will keep you today to this journey through all the topics of what has to do with the transport of raw materials in food in transport containers. At first, when we are talking about the topics of our association, that is a non-profit association based under the rules of Germany for non-profit association. But I myself, I'm located in Brussels. I live here in Brussels and I work here from Brussels and spread out to the world by these nice digital possibilities from today. And we are dealing in the association UNFIT, it's called International Association of Supply Chain Safety, with all the topics what have to do with the transport of raw materials, maybe the grain from the farm to the mills or the milk from the farm to the dairy. And we are dealing with all these different types of transport units. Of course, I will call it transport units. It's more neutral than to talk about the road tankers, tank containers, IBCs, cooling trucks, and so on and so on, so that you have a roughly idea of what I'm talking about. What is UNFIT and where is UNFIT located? Of course, you know, most of the associations are the Association for Logistic Companies or the Association for Food Producers or the Association for something, I don't know, for animals or chicken or whatever. We are not only fighting for the interest of a special group in the supply chain, we are fighting for the interest, or we are working for the interest. Fighting is maybe not the right word, but we are working for the interest of all the members or all the stakeholders around the supply chain. That means, in one hand, we are talking about the international and national authorities. We are talking about other NGOs and other associations. We are talking about producers of transport units, organizations, they are dealing with kosher or with halal requirements. We are talking with the industry for food, feed, and chemicals. Today, I'm more focused on the sector of food. Of course, I know that most of you are interested or working in the food industry, but we as the association also dealing with all the questions in feed hygiene, and also in chemical transport and chemical safety. We are talking about the cleaning station. Of course, cleaning stations are always a part of the supply chain where a transport unit should be cleaned, maybe regularly after each transport or from time to time, depending to which kind of product is transported, which kind of transport unit is. And the logistic industry. Of course, the logistic industry is dealing with that they transported your products, what you need in your factories, maybe to your factories. And so when you see this, that we are not really fighting only for one or working for one of these groups. Of course, our target is to bring the knowledge of these different stakeholders in the supply chain together, to bring them to the same language so that everybody has the same understanding about that, what is going on. That is a little bit different to, I think, the most of the associations, what you maybe know. What is our goals? Our main goals is our healthy by ourselves. Of course, the healthy of you, the healthy of your families, of your children, of your neighbors, and so on. And when you're producing food, that there is a lot of responsibility for you as a food producer to bring a product into the market that does not damage the health of the consumers. And that follows international standards. And it should not be a contamination with plastic granular or molds or chemicals or this and that. That is what Felicia told in the beginning for the introduction. It should be raw materials. It should be a clear product, and it should be safety, and it should be good for our healthy. Maybe not with all these different types of products. Sometimes I'm eating something that is maybe not so healthy, but it's very sweet and can be also a nice thing. But that is the main goal. But what does it mean in the detail? When we are talking, or I know that everybody is talking about the supply chain, but my question is always, what does it mean, the supply chain? What do you mean when you're talking about the supply chain? And I realize in the last years that a lot of different people have a different understanding about the supply chain. Our understanding about the supply chain is the beginning of the process. That is when we are talking from farm to fork. It's the farm where it's producing milk or producing the grains or something like this. And from this point, from the first step of the production, of the raw material production, there should be a transport, maybe a transport of grain to silos, and from silos later to maybe a mill, where it should be milled and should be maybe a flour or something like this. Or on the other hand, when we are talking about maybe milk from the cows, it's transported by milk selecting containers sent to the dairy. In the dairy, they're doing something with this, bring it in the right condition, maybe make it concentrate. This concentrate is then maybe going to the milk powder plant. The milk powder plant produces a milk powder, and this milk powder has to transport it by a silo from the milk powder plant then to a chocolate producer, and he uses it for his nice chocolate bars. And at the end of the day, they produce the chocolate bar, they pack it, and then transport it to the supermarket. And when we talking as the association ENFIT about the supply chain, we're talking about all the steps that has to be with the transport, and it's used different types of transport units. And you will find in all the laws, maybe in the laws of the FDA, of the European Commission, and so in all these regulations, everybody is dealing with the word of transport and transportation and a transport unit, but there's no details. Of course, these details is completely in the hands of the people. They have to do every day with these things. And we understand when we founded ENFIT 18 years ago that there's a big gap. There's a gap between that what a producer is understanding about when he's talking about supply chain safety or food safety, and there's a completely can be different to a transport company. They have always to look maybe to make a cheap transport. And I take you with me on this journey to show you how does it work. If you need more information about really the details, you will find it in our new website. Of course, we make a relaunch, I think 1 week ago. And you will find there are some points about the association, the organization, the members in the organization, the advisory board, auditors, and so on. You will find something about the blockchain technology, what we have developed. You will find a lot of details in this part of cleaning, of food, feed, chemicals. You will find also there are detailed information about different cleaning processes, what we have developed. You will find information about the HQF certification of cleaning stations, which we have to develop for cleaning station. You will get a lot of information about the ECC, that is the NFIT cleaning certificate. This is very important. Where are later all this information about hopefully the right cleaning in the right conditions, where you can find it and how you can see it, what is done. And then there's an area of downloads and some use. And you can have later a look. It's in English, it's in German, it's in Polish at the moment, and you will find all the information there. But what we will start, of course, there are talking about kosher and halal requirements. Sorry, that is my presentation from yesterday. I was yesterday on a congress for halal, and there was halal in the previous ideas. But forget this, of course, halal and kosher is a part of food safety. From some of the people on the world, halal is something what has to do with religious behind, but at the end of the day, it always depends to what is equality and how we can make sure that there should not be a cross-contamination or not be with raw material inside. Then I will tell you something around the risk during transportation. I will tell you what does it mean when NFIT has developed this NFIT HQF. HQF is high quality food, feed, and chemical certification for that, for cleaning station. And what does it mean in halal standards? That is only for example, we have to develop also in kosher cleaning standard, and we have not developed a standard for normal food and feed without all these religious backgrounds. And what does it mean to have a trustful cleaning certificate that shows you maybe as a loader or an unloader, can you trust the quality of this transport unit? And I will tell you a little bit about the new development, what we have started mid of last year to roll out to the market, the NFIT by Vision blockchain technology. That is a part that is important for the traceability, and everybody has to do a traceability to know from where the products are come. Yeah, what is the question? Oh, I see this name of halal transportation, forget it. The question is, what are the real requirements? What is important to know? What is needed for all these types of transport and transport containers? I will start with the responsibility of the food producer. You all name this title of food business operator, FBOs in English. That means that the producer of a product is responsible. That means that the raw material producer is responsible for that. And the interesting thing is, around the world, when I look to the FDA papers, to the European Commission papers, and so on, they said that everybody who's in the line from the raw material production, maybe from the farm, through the logistic companies, through the producers in the first and second step of production, they are all members of the supply chain, and they are under the law food business operators. Food business operators means they are more responsible than everywhere on the world to that what they are doing. How they produce the products, how they transport the products, how they make the cleanness, the disinfection, and all these things, and how they make sure that there's never a cross-contamination with the product, and or with a foreign body or with a mold or something like this. That means that a transport company is also under the law a food business operator. And that is the first point that is often, there's a big misunderstanding. Most of the transport companies are not thinking that they are food business operators. Of course, it sounds a little bit like you produce something. They know or they think that they are transported only something from A to B. But that's not right, of course. They take a product from a raw material producer, they put it in their own tanks or trailers, or sometimes they work together with subcontractors, and it's not directly their own truck or container. And then they shipped it to the receiver of the goods. And maybe if something wrong with this truck, with this trailer, with this road tanker, then it can be damaged the product. That means that the logistic company has also this responsibility in the same way as a producer of raw materials or end products, and he should be make sure that everything in this shipment or in this line, this transport way, should be really okay. And one of these parts is to look for the cleanness of these transport units. Of course, normally after a transport of food, the transport container is never used for the same product. Of course, it's going from A to B, then to a cleaning station, should be cleaned, and then from C to D with another product, and then to another cleaning station, and then from E to F to another cleaning station. That means we're talking about not a chain, or we are talking about a chain with no beginning and with no end. Of course, these types of transport units are used from one to the other, always with different products in different cleaning stations. And that means that the logistic companies has a high responsibility for that. How is the conditions after a transport, or better to say, before a transport, before the next do his loadings. And that means, when we look to the next slide here, what is the responsibility of the logistic or the transport companies? The logistic or the transport companies can maybe have their office or their factory maybe in New York, but the transport is going to a lot of different countries and regions and cities, so that they always use cleaning stations. They are not in their direct arrangement, of course. That means they must make sure that the cleaning station that works for them after transport as a service provider has also the knowledge what is to do to make it clean. But the cleaning stations under the law are not part of the food business. They are not food business operators. They are depends to the supply chain, but the responsibility for a cleanness or for the cleanness of a truck or trailer is in the hand of the logistic company. And they must make sure how they ever do it and in which way they do it, but they are responsible. Is there something wrong? You cannot say to the cleaning station, you have made a mistake or something like this. Of course, the logistic companies has looked for themselves how they can make sure that the cleaning station, what they take as a service provider, what they have done, and how they look for the right quality. And that's the agreement between them, and they must be sure. And our reason or our goal in the association ENFIT is to bring these different components together, to link all these companies they are involved in this business of transportation, and to make them well known what is important or not, or how they can make sure that the service is provided, that that is the right service and the quality at the end of the day is in that condition, so that everybody can be happy. One of the risks is the transport container by itself and the cleaning of transport container. Here, for example, I show you some different types. It's trailers, it's IBCs, it's plastic boxes, it's cooling trucks, refrigerated trucks, and so on, isotank container. And all these different types of transport units are needed for the transport of different types of granular. Is it a liquid? Is it a powder? Is it a granular? Whatever, yeah? And it's depending to that how the companies can work in the factories with these materials. That depends. You can get also your raw materials maybe in paper sacks or plastic sacks. That is often done also. But when we are talking about this real bulk transport, that means big or huge amount of products, then we are not transported this with 25 kilogram paper sacks or something like this. And what is a typical trailer? Of course, sorry for that. Of course, I have not an American trailer here, but this is a European trailer. It looks a little bit smaller maybe than these trailers in America, but this is the system or the understanding is the same. You see, this is a trailer for liquids to transport it, maybe an oil, liquid chocolate or something like this. And on the left side in the corner, you see a silo truck that is used maybe for powders and for granules. And this year, that is a special task. We are talking about tank containers, and tank containers are used in the international business. And you see on this picture, all the containers have these orange stickers. And Frau Schultes, of course, she's in the meeting also. We are discussing all about that. What is the usage of these tank containers? And there are companies really, they have tank containers for chemicals, and that's okay. And they are used always for chemicals. And they have other tank containers for food or for feed. And they separate it. But you cannot really sure that everybody in the world is working in this to separate it. Yeah, that means some of them use the tank container for chemicals, chemical transport, put on these white stickers with these all these dangerous colors and so on, and can say what kind of chemical is it? Is it explosive or is it toxic product, whatever? But on the other hand, sometimes when they have not the right containers, they moved away all these stickers and put on, I have seen this on the Autobahn here in Germany, put on the sticker foodstuff only, and then they use it for foodstuff. And maybe on the next transport, they move away the stickers and put on maybe the stickers for the dangerous goods and transported it. And you maybe as the receiver of the good, or maybe have a company who loads this, you have not an idea, you can't see it. Hopefully you can't smell it and you can really see it, but this can be happen, and this can be also give cross-contamination to your products. So from that side, make sure that your service providers separate it. He has only one type used always for foodstuff, or maybe maximum for feed. But on the other hand, he has a separate block of containers. He uses it only for chemicals and not mixing these things together. That is very important. What is going on with a truck or with a trailer or with a silo? Often you see this body of this tank and you're thinking, okay, it's absolutely clear. Yes, there's a body of the tank with maybe some different chambers. But don't forget, this tank is not only the tank by itself. There's a lot of other attachment parts. It's maybe the bottom valves. You have overpressure valves. You have gaskets. You have manholes. You have openings and so on. And that means that the transport, it's needed, yeah, to fill it or to unload it. But for the cleaning, those things are always not easy to clean. You see here on this slide some examples. How does it look? Yes, you have pipes for the unloading. You have valves. You have hand valves. You have some hoses and so on, flexible hoses for loading. You have something like, looks like airlines. And all these parts can come directly in with the product in contact. And after the transport, they have also to clean to make sure that it can be not give a cross-contamination back by the next loading, or it's not ready to clean. And here you find some other examples. So maybe on the left side, you find a loading pump or unloading pump. The liquid product is pumped by this out of the tank, maybe to the storage tank of the factories. On the right side, you see maybe a bottom valve, and you can understand when you do the cleaning inside of this tanker with nozzles and high pressures, you have a shadow, a spraying shadow also in these areas. That means maybe from upside, it looks nice and clean, but when you look below these valves, these bottom valves, it can be that there are rest of the last loadings, or maybe the last 2 or 3 or 4 loadings. What is there completely stick and can be not really cleaned by these nozzles inside when they clean the tankers inside. And that makes all these questions about cleaning very complicated. You see in this example on the left side, you see in chocolate, this brown material there is in chocolate. It's tasting very well, but it's hard. Of course, for the transport, it's normally in the temperature about 40, 50 degrees, so that's liquid. But when you have done the unloading and you have a rest in the container, and the driver has then to go to the next cleaning station and needs for that some hours, then it's blocked. And these to clean is not so easy. You need a lot of power for that, and a lot of energy and a lot of time for this. You have gaskets, you have some nudes where the gaskets are, and you have different chambers. And the interesting is, look at your trailers when you get these products, how they are designed. In this case, this trailer has 3 chambers. That means you can transport it 3 different types of products, but you can transport it in all the 3 chambers the same. Sometimes the logistic companies need this to balance the weight from the trailer. Where is the main weight? Is it on the side of the truck, or is it more at the end, or something like this? But it's also possible to transport different products in these different chambers. But this trailer, you can see here, has only one pipe for the outlet. That means when you have different products in these different chambers, it can be connected later by these ones outlet, and you can get cross-contamination without any knowing about these. That's in the design of the transport container. And there are other transport containers. They are very clever. Of course, is that, okay, we have 3 chambers, so we will separate with 3 different outlets of each chamber. You see it on the picture, on the graph here. But at the end of the day, you see on the left side, this picture, they have an pipe with some valves, and they bring it together to one outlet together, and then to a pump for an unloading. So the idea is not too bad, yet to say 3 chambers, 3 lines, but when they bring it together by this connector to one pump, we have the same situation as before. And the other point is you have hoses, they can be damaged and you can't see it from outside. You have some gaskets or something like this, and this picture in the middle, and it's the rest of the product on site, and that can be all give you all these cross contaminations back. Here, for example, it's a silo truck. From outside, it's nice color, nice logo on it, and when you look inside, you see that the weldings have cracks and cuttings and something like this. Or on some older trucks, you will find pittings, really carved in that. And that is a point where the product can be go in, and later it's complicated to clean, and you will not get all out of the rest of these products, and then it can be contaminated, or it can be start with molding or something like this, and can bring you the contamination back. So from our side, as Enfield said, it's necessary not to paint all 2 years your tanker only outside in a nice color. It should be also necessary that all 2.5 years, there should be a DIN check. Enfield has developed a checklist for this, where that makes sure that somebody enters really to this tank and make an inspection. Where are holes, where are cracks, maybe what should be repaired or something like this, so that you have not these points where with a high risk, to eliminate it. And then to sign this transport unit with a logo. Of course, Enfield has divided it for these inspection tests, that you know this the tanker is inspected, and the next 2.5 years, everything should be okay. It's maybe most of the countries here in Europe, I can only speak for Europe, we have this kind of inspection for cars, or we have also this kind of inspection for tank containers for dangerous goods. That means all 2.5 years there should be an inspection by an expert, and this expert can check is something wrong or not, or should it be repaired, or maybe should it be go to the waste and not longer used for food. Maybe you can use it then for feed products or something like this, but the feed producers also look for a hygiene situation, but maybe you can make a storage tank from it or whatever. Yeah. The other point what we have is for all these people, they are working in factories and they get maybe powders like flour or milk powder or something like this. Have you seen how this powder is transported into your silos? Often it's working with compressors. They are driven by the motor, the engine of the trucks. And these compressors are on board of the trucks. That means you have a compressor, and the compressor sucks all the air from the aroundness into this compressor, compress it, pump it into these trailers, this silo, and bring out with high pressure the granulate or powder to these silos. And they do it also for liquid products, maybe for liquid chocolate, for an oil, something. But don't forget, the compressor takes all the air of the around this. That means if this air is contaminated, maybe with exhaust from the trucks, when the machine is running and so on, they take all this air, compress it, bring it to the product. That can be that if you have problems with mosh and more, maybe with liquid chocolate or something like this, that these can be a reason for that, to bring together the exhaust from the truck engine, compressed to the material, and it's in this material, and you can measure it later. So please, if you get products in powder or granulate form, check how is the condition of this compressed air. I know companies, they use their own compressor systems to do the unloading of a silo or liquid truck by themselves. Of course, they have much more space to do the right recycling of an air to make it really, really free of anything of oil and free of dust and dirt and so on, to bring it for this unloading. A lot of trucks have, they call it microfilter. It sounds good, yeah? It gives you the idea, all these things, they are very small, are filtered out. But forget this microfilter. Of course, this microfilter is not evil that he can filter out an oil what is in a gas form in this compressor. Yeah? He can't filter it out. He can filter out maybe flies or bigger particles of dust or so, but not really an oil or something like this. So these filters are often moved away from the trucks. Why? A filter costs money, and to invest all this money makes the transport more expensive. So some of the logistic companies removed it, and nobody in the part of the unloading or so on check, is the filter inside or not? So I can tell you, please have also a look on all these things around the tanker, around the truck, what is going on. Another point what is very pity is all these unacceptable labeling. You see here is a German word, nur für Lebensmittel, that means foodstuff only. It's on the tube for the hoses. And you can lock off some of the screws, turn this tube, and then you can transport it maybe in the next transport something what is not food. And it shouldn't be, of course. And transport container for food should be only used for food. That is sometimes not 100% really controlled in the law or in the documents of the law, but in Europe, I can only speak for Europe, it should be common that there's separation. There are tanks only for foodstuff and tanks only for chemicals, but never should be mixed in the same. Never in the food tank should be transported a chemical. Why? You see other examples, and that is myth in Europe. Yeah. So of course, often we are in Europe thinking we are very pretty well with all these regulations. Forget it. Of course, I have seen it by myself in a cleaning station. That is a food stuff only sticker. So the white one, you can't see the word food, and they stick on the green sticker with category 3 material, not for human consumption. That is the waste from the slaughterhouse. And this green sticker can be moved away absolutely easy. It's like an adhesion sticker. It's not a real sticker and completely hard to move away. And then you can transport the food stuff only. And that is criminal. That is nothing where you can say, okay, that is not so. Yeah, they do it sometimes. It's a criminal act. And yeah, it's a lie, it's a fake, and it's damaged maybe your products in your factories. Or other examples, I'm often driving with my cars through the Autobahn here in Belgium, in Germany, and Poland, and everywhere. And I make always photos, and you see different kind of examples that they are labeling the trucks with nur für Lebensmittel, foodstuff only, and transported on the other side. They have another sticker for these cut materials, the waste of the slaughterhouses that's not allowed to come in contact with the food, or these other stickers, or sticker with magnetic parts. That is everything that is very dangerous, and that is criminal act. In December of last year, one of our ENFIT members, a cleaning station, sent me some pictures and said, look at this truck here. You can see the label nur für Lebensmittel, foodstuff only. And I blinded all the other things, of course, yeah. And that was very interesting. To enter in cleaning stations, normally all the cleaning stations have a paper, and the driver is coming and has to fill out the paper. Why? The cleaning stations ask, and the producers later, they will do the loading, ask only often for the three last previous loads. And so that was here on the right side, you can see, it's, I think it's Polish, glucose, soya oil, and glucose. That is the information comes from the driver, and he filled it out. And he put in also that he will, the next transport should do with the palm oil. And then after that, he fill out, he make his underwriting and so on, put in the name of the companies and so on, to which should be the invoice. Then he enters to the cleaning station, and the staff opened the manholes and smelled and said, that is not a glucose, it smells like a diesel oil, petrol, yeah. The driver said, no, don't worry, clean it, everything should be fine. I'm just short on time. I have to load the next palm. And they said, no, smell. It's not a glucose, it smells like a petrol. And the driver discussed a little bit with them, and then they said, okay, let's have a look on the left side on the freight papers. And the driver said, I have no freight papers with me. Of course, I left it at the last unloading site. They said, okay, when you have no freight papers, then we can't do the cleaning. Then the driver said, okay, I will go to my truck, to my cabin, comes back with these freight papers on the left side. And then you can't see it, of course, it's Polish, but I did the translation about that. What you see there, oil here, Storni, cover, I don't know, something. That is biodiesel. That means a petrol produced out of a biomaterial, but at the end, it's a petrol. Yeah, you can drive your car with that. So it's a chemical. And that has nothing to do with a bio product for to eat or something. And that is a criminal act, what we see every day on a lot of cleaning stations, that the driver don't give the right information. But I will say the driver is the biggest point. Of course, he is normally doing that what his boss is telling him. So I will not push the driver to that side that he decided what he will say on these cleaning stations or maybe on the next loading station. What is the reason for those gaps? In Europe, we have another organization. We are fighting together, really fighting together. Of course, we have complete different point of views to this kind of market. They are founded by logistic companies, and their target is to protect themselves against the interest of the industries and their requirements. And ENFIT is completely different. Of course, I told you in the beginning, we are open. We are in this supply chain and all the stakeholders and look to find a balance between them, what is needed or not, and what does it cost, and all these things. And here in Europe is used it called ECD and FCO cleaning kit document, and they are put on a lot of codes. They call it cleaning codes: P10, F50, F01, E36. And on the left side, you see information about the previous loads and so on. And P10 sounds like a program number 10. And what do you think when you are working as a quality manager in the factory? A program is a program of cleaning, maybe a pre-wash, a main wash, spilling, a drying, a testing, something like this. But you can forget it. P10 means only hot water with more than 60 degrees. But nobody can control how many degrees it has at the end. They put in this P10, and most of the factories are accepted this as a code for in good cleaning. But at the end of the day, when you look at all these codes, of course, there's a list with 150 different codes, but maybe 10 or 15 are always used, and that is often this P10 and hot water. It says nothing about the duration time. It says nothing about where is done the cleaning. Okay, sometimes they put in that they make the washing of the boxes, but they say nothing about the result of that. And the interesting thing is, you can't read it, of course, here in this case in German. Two small written sentences. The first sentence says that the driver, the poor man or woman, of course, what has she or her to do with the cleaning or with the details of the cleaning, underwrite for that what the cleaning stations has done. And has done means P10, F50, F01, E36. At the end of the day, the driver can't say anything. Of course, he has to move away during the cleaning. Of course, it's not allowed for him to stay there or for her to stay there. And on the other hand, there's a second sentence. It's defined by this association. And that sounds, the tank is clean under the definition of this association, our competitors. What is the task of quality? Yeah? And when you look to their website, you will find a sentence. It's very interesting. And this sentence said, a tank shall be described as clean when there is no visible trace or odor of the last product or of a cleaning agent. I can tell you, when you open a manhole and you look into the tanker, you can see everything, but not so much. And you see never in these critical corners of a tanker. And all these critical parts to clean are all these parts you can't see and you can't not control and not inspect it. So at the end of the day, this definition of clean means at the end of the day, nothing. And that cannot be, of course. You and your factories, you have a clear scheme for what is to do, which temperature, which duration time, this concentration of cleaning agent or disinfectants, and how you can test then the result. You make maybe a microbiological test or a swab test and other things, and then you know that. And that is very interesting here in Europe. I have heard that there's something also in America, that there are used two codes for kosher cleaning and a halal cleaning. But when you look into these details here in Europe, you will find also very funny information and miracle information. In this case, I give you an example of this cleaning document here. they set three previous loads by the driver. The driver gives information, apple juice, milk exit, and glucose. And on the other hand, you find a procedure, P26, by the rabbis here in Europe. That means kosher procedure, that at first you do the full cleaning of a truck, and after the cleaning, you steam it 30 minutes with steam to disinfect it. So normally, your total time of the cleaning should be much more than 30 minutes. Yeah, of course, when the part of steaming is 30 minutes, it cannot be. Maybe when you make no cleaning, then you can get 30 minutes. But in this case, I can't see it here on my computer, but I remember it's 21 minutes in total. That means the total cleaning of the truck, and then 30 minutes steaming. How is it signed here in this paper? Should be something around 45 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, but the total time here is 21 minutes. So it's another point where you are, cheating by these kind of companies. I will actually say not all the companies do that, but there's a lot of companies, they always thought, okay, the people in the production side, they have no ideas, they look for the paper. Is the paper there? They said, okay, everything is fine. If the paper missed, then it's a problem. So, but everybody looks on these papers, and I can tell you, look very in detail to these papers to understand. And when you are interested, you can send me maybe some examples of cleaning papers or documents, what you get, and then we look in our team on that and give you an idea what is missing there or what does it say. Here, for example, some other documents, some of them are self-made with a logo of a country here in Germany. The country is a region of Saxony. It's not allowed to use those logos, but they put it on their papers and to make it on. What is the other point? The other point is, I tell you a little bit about what is to do. The next point is the staff in the cleaning station by themselves. Are they trained? Are they know what's to do? Do they know all the critical points of a tanker or not? And how are they trained by whom? And so that is a very important part, Felicia, also for you and with your business, to make it visible for all these responsible persons in the factories that they have an eye and an inspection on that, what is going on before they do the loading. Before they do the loading, they can check more, but when they get products and they receive products, then the tanker is full. Then they can not see all these details. So that is very important that the people, they load it, they make the real clear inspection to help the people. They unload it. Of course, they cannot control everything here. And this is an example for some very misty cleaning stations, what I find in my career here. Outside cleaning by the driver doing. People, they are looking here in these blue jackets, they cleaned everything, chemicals, food, feed, and they look completely different, as you maybe know from your factories. Or maybe here, cleaning of pipes when you have transported a floor with a brush, or maybe they use some screws in these aluminum tankers, and then you have metal inside, or maybe you have plastic material from those brush inside. There's a lot of funny things. Or cleaning by the driver, by himself. And you can see on the left side of the top, food defense, safety seals, how complex all these pipes are and how many corners are there for your microorganisms. They will be very happy when they are inside. It's wet, it's maybe warm, and it's always a good place to grow. And that shows you that this cleaning is not only a part with an automatic cleaning, how you do it maybe in your factories with your storage tank also. It's also a lot of handwork. And to make this in a good and proper way, the personnel, the staff should be well trained in that, what they are doing. When you talk to these people, they are not studied on university, yeah? So they are more simple people. And if they have never heard something about hygiene or microorganisms or virus or something like this, they often don't know what to do. They have another guy who said, yes, you should do this and that and that. And at the end of the day, they are looking for to make a cheap cleaning. Yeah? And for a cheap cleaning, you cannot get, on the other hand, the highest quality. That is a real conflict. And you see a lot of attachments, valves, and mechanical things. The other point is after the cleaning, often they do a drying. And the question is, how looks this dryer? Which type of air is sucked in? And what does it need it when you have a nice, proper cleaning, and then you blow in maybe contaminated air into your truck or your trailer, and you are wondering why you have maybe problems later with some others. That was on my trip, I think 4 weeks ago, when I was make a trip in Poland. I see very nice cleaning stations, and I believe that you will never bring something here for to clean. But they are very proper. They make it proper. They have a clean space outside. So everything can fly in, can fly out, whatever you want. It looks very fantastic, and it shows that in this business, a lot of things are possible. But I will tell you also there are differences. Yeah, not everybody looks like this, but normally when you receive your products or you load your products, you never see the cleaning station. That is the problem. And we can tell you where you should look. That is this. Another point is food defense. In Europe, is it common that all these tankers and the openings are closed by ceilings that cannot make sure that you can make not a damage. But if somebody makes a damage, then you can see it, hopefully, when somebody is looking for that. And they put in all these small numbers from these seals by hand to papers, to freight papers, maybe to cleaning documents and so on. And you can imagine when you have 10 of these numbers, maybe eight numbers behind, and you read it and write it, I have no idea how many mistakes you make. I make often a mistake when somebody gives me his phone numbers, and when I put on 5 phone numbers on a paper, maybe 1 or 2 have a mistake, and there's something maybe wrong with these numbers. They're not in the right direction. That is another weak point, of course, that makes the door open for terrorism attacks. And we are living today in a very unsecure world that you can never be sure what somebody is doing or damaging here with the food or with raw materials. And this is the nicest photo what I ever have seen. On the left side, a silo truck, and he has a lot of, I don't know, used or not used seals on that, and they are from chemical names, company of the name of chemical companies are to find the name of food companies, feed companies, everything is mixed. And that shows that the understanding about the responsibility and the trustful job is not the right. And these guys, I like them very much. They are looking like in the operation surgery level. Of course, they are new members of ENFIT. That is a company in Poland. So I have shown you first the other pictures of the Poland cleaning stations. And they have really get these high HQF certification of ENFIT. They get these result excellent quality cleaning. That means they have one in the highest level of scores. And they understand that the food is a food. And maybe later you have it on the table and will eat it. And they are working completely different. Remember all these pictures with these guys in this blue and dirty clothes and so on. They are completely different in thinking. That means maybe not that they make not a mistake, but they have a complete different understanding about what they are doing. They're dealing with food. And that is the important thing. And that is the NFIT HQF certification for cleaning station, what we have developed in the last years. That means it's a little bit depends to IFS and BRC, what does it mean to the factories, but we have transferred it to cleaning stations to make sure that the cleaning stations staff get a completely different view about the work, what they are doing. And we have a 3-stage certification. That first stage is a questionnaire. Do you know from your audits what you are doing? The second part is a technical inspection of the cleaning technology. That means, is it possible with this technology make a good cleaning? Of course, remember this worst examples what I gave to you with this outside cleaning. They will never get 1% in the score when we do the inspection for them. And the third part is the training of the staff. And depending to the result, you see 50 to 74% means to get the quality seal. It's called Basic Plus. When you get a score in this audit between 75 and 89%, you get this quality level, high quality cleaning. And when you have a score about more than 90% to 100%, you can get the quality seal, quality, excellent quality cleaning. And these seals, it's maybe the same system as in the hotel, what you know from hotels. You have a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels or something like this. And when you see the stars, then you know, okay, 5-star hotel almost is more expensive than a 2-star hotel, but the rooms are bigger and so on and so on. It's more quality, more service. And this is the same idea here behind. Of course, on an NFIT cleaning, international cleaning certificate, what we have developed in the last years, this score or this result, this quality seal is also printed in this document. So you can see as a loader or as an unloader, when you look at the cleaning document, the cleaning, in our case, called cleaning certificate, is registered as a certificate. That means we have to do some additional fulfill requirements that we can name it a certificate. And then you will find here in this printed via the right quality seal what the cleaning station become. So you can see from outside in which quality level these cleaning stations play. And additional here you find another logo here inside. That is always in that case when it's done in kosher cleaning, is here printed the logo for kosher cleaning. And when it has been done in halal cleaning, here's printed out the halal logo. And we are authorized as NFIT, as the association NFIT, to hand out these logos in agreement with the rabbinate and with the Muslims organizations to print out these logos and show the loader and the unloader what is going on. You see on the right side, there's a QR code. That is this QR code, what you can see here on top. If the cleaning stations is NFIT certified, NFIT HQF certified, then they normally use the NFIT by Vision blockchain technology. And with this blockchain technology, they can generate these complete documents, this international cleaning certificate. And that makes sure that this certificate has a unique QR code. And when the driver take a paper document with him to the next loading station, the loading station take his smartphone and you scan this code, then you get the original document, what is produced by the cleaning station. So if they are doing maybe with Photoshop or some other softwares, maybe some changing about the date or the time or something like this, you can directly, or the loader or the unloader can directly see it, can scan it with a smartphone and get directly on the screen the real original certificate. And that gives you the full overview about that. Here you will find some details. It's a blockchain protected certificate. We put in here the halal or kosher logo. Here put in the score of the cleaning stations. you have the previous products and also different to other documents. We separated. The starting time on a document is not the time when the driver arrives at the cleaning station. We separated. We have a check-in time, that's the time when the driver arrives to the cleaning station, and we have a starting time when the real process is starting and the end time when the process is over. In Europe, there are used documents. You cannot see the difference. Of course, you have a starting time and the end time. And it can be that the truck has waiting 1 hour in the lane, and maybe the cleaning has done 10 minutes. And in total, it's 70 minutes on the paper. And everybody's thinking that was 70 minutes cleaning. That's not right. And we separated, so that makes sure. What we have done as NFIT, we have developed in an international working group in the last 4 years a new guideline. I'll show you later where you can get this guideline. And we decided that we will, for special groups of products, group on the left side, you find liquids with low viscosity. Then the second silo is liquids with high viscosity, maybe cacao butter, liquid chocolate, fats, oil, something like this. Then you have these silos for kosher and halal. That means which kind are not allowed, but when they are allowed or transported, which kind of real cleaning procedure should be. And here you will find numbers. That is also cleaning codes, but behind this code is the clear process. The process means disassembling from residues, preparation of the tanker, make a main pre-wash, make a main wash, make a spilling, make a drying, make a assembling of the attached parts, make a clean test, what is the result, and then produce the document. And that is the total cleaning time what we have developed, and this cleaning processes. So that helps you. And this is only, for example, in halal cleaning, what I have presented yesterday on this halal conference. You have on the left side the contamination, is it light, medium, or high? And you will find also then the right processes developed by NFIT and its experts. The NCC for light contamination, it's used the NFIT P207H. For the medium contamination, NFIT P370H, and the other is P470H, depending to the difference of the contamination. How many contamination, which type of product rest are in the tanker? That at the end of the day, it's the same as what you use in your dishwasher. Yeah? When you put your dirty dishes to the dishwasher, you look at that with your experience, and then you say, okay, I need program A, B, or C. And then the dishwasher will do the job with the pre-wash, main wash, dosing of chemicals, and so on and so on. And at the end of the day, I think at 99.9%, the dishes should be really clean and really ready for that. And here you can see that is the example with halal. You have all these examples also in the guideline for all the other products. They are not halal, but you can see here the time, the duration time. On the left side, we have the right temperature. Is it 65 degrees or 85 degrees? What is needed for that? And then you have a real program. And this real program makes sure that at the end of the day, your cleaning should be proper. Here you will find also an overview about maybe powder and granular on the bottom line. Then we have liquids with low viscosity, liquids with high viscosity, liquids with halal or kosher. And you can see these numbers in these boxes that are minutes. That means when I look for this example here, for liquids with high viscosity, that means the minimum time should be 30 minutes. To use the NFIT program 300, the average of this is 68 minutes, and the maximum time is 105 minutes. Why? A cleaning is depending to the amount of residues in the tanker. It's depending to the kind of product, and it's depending to the temperature, the outside temperature. When we here in Europe dealing with this cleaning in the winter time with minus 20 or 30 degrees for a liquid chocolate is completely different to clean as when we have the same chocolate in the summertime with maybe 30 or 40 degrees plus degrees Celsius. I mean, yeah, and so that is the knowledge of the cleaning station to say in which range is it, and I put in here also a number to get an idea about what does it cost at the end when you do a cleaning under these requirements here and under these processes. And you see, always we have an average. That means in the middle, a cleaning of a tanker for where it has been transported food in the average, it's something around 1 hour. And when you go to the left side, your risk should be higher. You can reduce cost. That's okay, yeah, but your risk will become higher. And when you go more for a longer time, you reduce your risk. But on the other hand, the cleaning should be more expensive. For you as the factory, as a responsible person in the factory, is the important point to say, okay, how sensitive is my product? How sensitive is my input? And what does that do? When you cook everything, maybe after your production process, maybe you can live with some salmonellas in your raw materials. Of course, you kill it when you cook it. But if you have a sensitive product, it makes maybe more sense to invest a little bit more in a good and proper cleaning and a clear definition of that documentation. Then, on the other hand, to have a recall. And what does it mean when you have a recall? It costs you maybe millions. It can kill your brand, your company. And so you have to adjust or to understand that there's imbalance. Of course, on one hand, I know in a lot of factories, a recall is a recall. Nobody can scare everything. And everybody looks in every corner of the factory. But a lot of people forget that every day there's an input in the factories by raw materials, by different trucks and types and this and that and that. And maybe I can only give you the idea, look at that, what is coming in your factories. And maybe your recall or the reason for the recall is not a reason of your factory. Maybe it's a reason coming from the transportation. And when you can eliminate it and when you can organize it, that your logistic providers knows exactly what has to do, you can decide by yourself what should be the best solution. If you need not a high standard, you can use a cheap transport. If you need a higher standard, you should maybe work with our NFIT guideline. Of course, everything is definite and standardized. And then you can discuss with your service provider what kind of quality you needed. At the end of the day, the bad story is you have to pay for that. But maybe this payment is a percent of maybe a big recall with all these damages behind. And that is important to know. And that some small words here to the blockchain technology. Of course, you can see this is the label with a unique QR code and hand out by our association. And we stick it on transport unit and make the transport visible. We make the transport unit in the system as a digital twin. And now we can add on all the information, what is important. And what is important? That is the information about the transport unit by itself. How many chambers, which materials, how many volume, and so on and so on, as a department. The other thing is the loading. Of course, you maybe, when you're a raw material producer, you load this truck and you can now enter by this code the information about maybe I'm loaded with milk powder. Then the milk powder is transported to an unloading site. You see, sorry, yeah, that is a silo, okay, yeah. So here's the powder, there's the powder. I thought for a moment it's maybe a liquid truck, but not, it's a silo. When they do after the transport, the unloading, the company who's doing the unloading make verification. They scan the code, see it's milk powder, and they say, yes, it was milk powder. And then both information match. And that says if the loader and the receiver of the good says it's a milk powder, I think then it should be a milk powder. For the logistic company now, remember all the things about the previous loads and allergen or not, saying by the driver. The logistic company cannot now change the information of the milk powder. Of course, they cannot make from milk powder flour or sugar or something like this. Of course, you both, the loader and the unloader, you give this information to the cloud. This is protected by the blockchain. It can be not changed later. And this information is then transported digital to the cleaning station. And when the cleaning station scans this code, they get directly the information. It has been a milk powder. Okay, fine. And they get from the system out a recommendation for the right cleaning. It shows them directly you should use the program P500 for milk powder, and then is a clear definition which process is it, which temperature, and so on and so on. And at the end of the day, there is the cleaning certificate, the NFIT International Cleaning Certificate, and this is also stick on digital then to these digital twin in the system. And so the producers, the receivers, the cleaning stations, and the logistic companies have everybody the same trustful information about the supply chain. And now is it possible for everybody in the supply chain now to get a complete overview. And in the case of the recall, you can go this line back, or the logistic companies can go back and can search for that, maybe where can be the damage, what kind of cleaning has been done, and visual rights. You see here that it's an example for how it looks on your screens when you use it as a backend, maybe as a loading company or unloading company, which information you get. You get all the information. Is this tanker suitable for food or not? Is he tested? Is there special regulations for that? You can scan also digital seals. I told you about these seals where these numbers, can you see it? Maybe yes, it's a little bit, yeah. So you have not put on these numbers by hand, by reading and writing. You scan it with a smartphone. You put all the information here about the loading, about the shields, digital to the system, and you get from the system also the information how many seals are needed for this truck and where are the places you have to install the seal. That is often when you ask the driver, he said, I don't know, maybe 20 or something like this here. So he didn't know. Of course, they often change the trailers. They are never driving only with the same trailers. That was maybe 20 years before, but today it was changing trucks, trailers, and so on. And all these different types has different numbers of ceilings, and you can check here all the numbers digital without any human errors. Yeah, and what is our support as the association? We are doing lobbying. Yes, right. Of course, lobbying is not often, it's sometimes a little bit negative, but we are doing lobbying. Why? For the logistic companies, for the cleaning stations, for the producers of food, and to make the things clear and to announce it to organizations like Halal, like Kosher, like the government, the FDA, and all these organizations. That is our lobbying, our understanding. Yes, we will do this in a good manner, so for a safe supply chain. The other thing is that we are developing international standards and certifications. The certification for the cleaning stations, of course, they are very, very important to do the right things. We are training the industry, the quality managers, the operators, logistic companies, what is necessary, what not, what are their responsibilities. And we are doing the certification and training for cleaning stations, for the people they work there, that they have good understanding about that, what they are doing. And we are doing also the training for logistic and transport companies so that they can train their, maybe their drivers. Of course, the driver is an important person. Or so they handle every day their products, their tankers, and so on. And what we are doing also is the supply chain analysis, what I told you in the beginning. If you have some documents where somebody tells you how he has cleaned the trucks, where you can get delivered your raw materials. Send it to us. We will make a check and give you a short idea about what is going on, not, or where we tell you that you should be maybe more careful, or ask them this or that, what they are doing to get it better over you. And what we are doing, and we do it since mid of last year, the total digitization of this supply chain that makes visible, possible, brings the right information to the system by the people. They have no interest to make a fake or something like this. Of course, the loader is not interested to put another name of the product, and the unloader is saying also. So when we bring together two of that, they are on the same level and say, yes, that is this product, then the third party has no problem. And we tell also, of course, maybe sometimes it sounds a little bit negative against the logistic companies. Not everybody is like in that way, and not everybody is cheating, but it's always a balancing about what is paid for a service and what is needed for the service, and there should be a good balance. And what we tell to the logistic companies also is, be open, talk to your clients, talk to your contractors, and tell them or discuss with them. You can do it now on the basis of these NFIT guideline, what is needed. And when you have different steps, then you can quote different price. And then you, as the responsible person in the factory, you can decide by yourself what you will invest and how sensitive is your product. And when you bring all these things together, at the end of the day, if somebody is interested, send an email to me or to Felicia, and we will hand out this guideline. It has 200 pages on 10 MB hard stuff. All the details from the rules, the loading, the unloading, the containers, and so on, to the cleaning and so on. So all these cleaning processes. And when you are interested, you can share it with your friends. You can spread it around the world. Of course, it's really needed that everybody should know about these topics. And another point is, in this presentation, I'm focused on all these drugs for powder, this and that. We have another working group started last year. Then we are dealing with all these reefer container where our meat and fruits and all these things are transported. It's a little bit different. Of course, they have a lot of handmade cleaning inside, but we are developing also a new guideline for this kind of transport units. And I think that is also necessary. And yeah, so that is my end. You see there are 4 films on YouTube. You can click on that, and I will please Felicia later to share my presentation, or I can do it. We can agree who should do it, Felicia. And then you can click on these YouTube buttons, and you can see an explanation video about the BioVision system. You can see how does it work with this GIDs, this global item identification numbers. You can see a recorded perfect cleaning video and an innovator video for this. Of course, we have get a special prize, an innovator prize for this development of this NFIT BioVision blockchain system. And yeah, and when you have any questions or any on your heart, please let us know to Felicia, to me, and then we can go in contact. Yes, and everybody who's not linked with me on LinkedIn, I please you send me an invitation, and I will be happy later to share other information with you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, everyone. I have actually added a feedback form. So just for us to make sure we are doing better presentations, and make sure to see if you have any other webinars or any items that you would like to see. I'll work with Hans in terms of sharing the informations and a little bit of the presentations today for sure. So I'm just going around to ask if there's any questions with the presentations, any materials. I heard a lot of good feedback here, very informative, very helpful. For me as well, I'm learning a lot, but I just want to make sure the audience have the chance to ask questions first. Any questions, everyone? You're very welcome to unmute yourself. I'm just going to stop the recording so that we can focus on the Q&A.